She's trying to figure out if she can get up onto the fireplace. And it's not gonna happen. Hi, welcome to a kind of video that I haven't done in a very long time. I think part of me has been like subconsciously avoiding these types of videos. I'm not sure why. I guess I just don't want my disability to be the center of my content, but at the same time, it is a pretty large part of my life, so hey, you know? I also want to acknowledge the video that I made about 3 years ago now, something like that, called Why I'm So Short, Scoliosis Q&A. Hi, Bit. Okay. I haven't watched that video since I uploaded it, but just from the title alone, I'm sure there's plenty of misinformation in that video, which is kind of hilarious because, you know, I should know what I'm talking about when I'm talking about myself, but hey. So I made a video about a year or so after that, kind of clearing things up, but I didn't really answer any questions in that video. I just talked about the bone condition that I have called chondrodysplasia punctata, which is what caused the scoliosis. And the scoliosis is really just a side effect of the bone condition. The bone condition is really what caused my dwarfism. Okay? So this time, I asked you guys to ask me questions specifically about dwarfism. I'm gonna try my best not to make this a podcast, but I'm sure I'm gonna have a lot to say. Before we get into the questions, I do have one more thing that I wanna say. With the platform that I have, I feel that it's only right to raise awareness for certain organizations you can donate to help relieve people that are being affected by the coronavirus. So I'm going to leave some links in the description. Anything would help. We all gotta come together in these times. Yes. So a little bit of background in case you don't know. I'm Taylor, I'm 22 years old, and I'm 4 feet tall. Take it in, soak it in. I was born with a bone condition called chondrodysplasia punctata.
It means no worries.
My specific case of it is very rare. Basically, my bones didn't form right and I'm small. Okay, now, without any further ado, let's get into the questions. Do you normally have to shop in the kids section? Yes and no. Shopping in the kids section can be really hard because a lot of them are just very childish looking. Sometimes I have to get creative and pick things that I can either mess with or they look pretty like neutral, like age neutral, you know? Usually though, I try to just find the smallest things I possibly can in the women's or like teen section. Because of that, shopping is kind of a nightmare. Mostly because I just don't have very much patience. Why are short girls considered cute, but a girl with dwarfism often isn't and is even made fun of? This is such a fantastic question, and honestly something that I contemplate to myself every day. I wish I could answer that for you, but I think dwarf girls are seen as out of the norm. It's often fetishized a lot. Short girls are considered cute until they're like too short, you know, or until it's like different. When you were younger, were you insecure about people judging you? If we're talking younger as in like elementary school age, I recognize that I was a little bit on the smaller side compared to the rest of the kids in my class, but it wasn't at the point yet where it was like so obvious that I didn't really have an issue with it yet. But it's as I entered middle school and early high school that it started to like really stand out. And the more that I got out into the real world as an adult, that it started to really stand out and compare myself to other adults. So that's something I've really had to work on. Still to this day, I still catch myself comparing myself to average adults. And like that's challenging. It's still like a constant process. I'm in therapy. But yeah. Do you ever wish you were average size right now? I feel like I've answered this before, and my answer is always yes and no, because my gut reaction is to say yes. But realistically, if I like really deeply think about it, no. If there was some magic pill or surgery that I could have and be average height, would I do it? Probably not. I don't know. It's a hard, deep, convoluted question. I've put 22 years of work into learning how to live in the body that I have, and I've gotten this far, then that like why would I just like throw that away? Say I woke up tomorrow and I was a foot taller, I would then have to learn how to adapt and live in that body. What do you do if someone teases you or gives you weird looks because of your scoliosis? Okay, I don't know if this is like genuinely asking about specifically the scoliosis, or if this person thinks like the scoliosis caused the dwarfism because of what I've said in the past. But people rarely that I know of give me weird looks because of the scoliosis. My height is what they see first, so that's mostly what I've got the weird looks about. But when I do get weird looks, it depends on like what the person's doing. If they're literally staring me down and not looking away, I'll eventually get frustrated and just like
stare at them right back.
But a lot of the time I ignore it, because like it just isn't worth it. It's kind of exhausting to me at this point because it does happen fairly often. Sometimes it's just like not worth putting the energy into it. Then there's the people that straight up like laugh and point, and that's really fun. That doesn't happen very often, but it definitely happens. How do you handle the overly nice people? Like those who help and are extra about it. This is tricky because most of the time all these people are doing is trying to be nice, right? Usually I just say like, thank you, you know. And to be honest with you, most of the time I appreciate it. Like if someone sees me struggling like in a store, like to reach something and they come over to help me, I genuinely appreciate that. I don't want to have to ask. Like I got another question that was like, what do you do if you can't reach something in the store alone? Usually I find a way. Like if I have to grab something else in the aisle, like a long thing, and use it as like a stick to push it off the shelf, I'll do that. Or like, you know, I'll do that thing that you're not really supposed to do where you stand on the cart or like on the shelf and then you kind of like climb to grab it. You shouldn't do that. But sometimes I live on the edge. But sometimes if I really just like want the thing off the shelf and I want to go, I'll just ask someone in the aisle and they're usually super nice about it. But people that are overly nice, like, I'll tell you one thing I've hated since the day I was born, brother. I hate the, oh, you're so cute thing. I've always hated that. I can't believe I forgot to put this in the video, but the word tiny? Oh my god, goodbye. No. Anyone calls me that, I immediately want to projectile vomit. Since I was like an actual toddler, I've hated that. It really depends on the context. If you're treating me kind of like I'm stupid, kind of looking down on me, vibes, then bye. But if you're like actually complimenting me, that's fine. But if it's like, oh, you're so cute and little and helpless, no. Bye. Bye. Have you ever gotten in an argument with a stranger who said something rude to you? Yes, and I made a video about it. So if you haven't seen that video, it's a fun one. Go check it out. Not trying to be mean, but are you smaller than some kids? For example, a 5th grader. I mean, that depends, doesn't it? Because some kids are like different sizes. But probably, yeah, I'm probably like the size of a 5th grader, which is fun. I try to let kids off the hook a little bit easier than adults, but it's annoying sometimes when a kid, like a 10 or 11-year-old kid, comes up to me and is like,
You're smaller than me.
and it's like, ha 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 ha, you're a kid, so I can't get that mad at you, but also that's disrespectful. How many times are you mistaken for a kid? Usually just from a distance. 9 times out of 10, by the time someone's talking to me, they can tell that I'm not a child, but it's the, like, from a distance, out of the corner of their eye type thing, because all they see is my height, right? They're not looking very closely. Was getting your license or getting your car a difficult process? Yes, it was definitely a much longer process. I didn't start officially driving until I was almost 18, I think, just because I had to go through a different driver's ed program and I had to wait to get my car pedals modified. It wasn't like much more difficult, but it was just the process was a little bit drawn out. This is a good one. Do you think jokes about dwarfism is offensive or funny? I don't do that shit, but wanted to know. It's all about the context. I will make jokes about myself to my friends sometimes, and if they laugh, I'm not gonna get mad, you know? It's all about your intentions behind what you're saying. I know I used to make my size the butt of my jokes and videos constantly. That was kind of just my way of like coping and dealing with it and making light of it. But then I kind of laid off on that because I noticed then a lot of people started to think that that was all that there was to my videos and started making those jokes to me all the time. And just, it gets old, you know? I don't want to constantly be reminded that that's what I have. And then one that kind of goes along with that, what words or anything else offend you the most? I don't love the word midget. I've said it in my videos, again, like referring to myself before, but I don't like the word. I said it because that was my way of like coping with it. I know that's kind of a hot debate in like the dwarf community because a lot of people feel differently about it, but I think it's a lot about people's individual experiences with that word. I'm gonna go get my light really fast. Uma's being cute, of course, as soon as I need to get up, so hopefully she'll stay. I'll be right back, yeah, she's gonna get up. Oh, damn, I should have just had this here the whole time. Oh, but as I was saying, for me personally, growing up, anytime I ever heard that word, it was in a very negative, derogatory way. So now whenever I hear it, I just like, it hurts. It's not just a descriptive word to me. It's kind of like an offensive term. Not to say that it's as bad as a lot of other words in society. There's obviously much worse, but I think the word midget is a lot more of like a personal thing for a lot of people. How do you deal with adults treating you like you're still a kid? I love, I'm serious, I actually love when an adult is talking to me like in a voice that they would talk to a child in, and then as soon as I open my mouth, they immediately drop their voice like 10 octaves. It's hilarious. And they're not even trying to be rude, but it's so funny because I always notice when adults are like genuinely treating me like a child, which doesn't happen super often anymore. But when they do, I kind of just put on my like adult voice. I drop my voice, bitch. My voice drops, not in like a deep voice, like I'm not like, hey everybody, like, no. Stop, go inside! What is it like, i.e. negative looks and or comments when you go to the club? You know, interestingly enough, I don't really get many like rude comments or looks at the club, like some at the club. But like when I go out, maybe I just don't notice, but normally it's fine. I don't know, some people are weird sometimes, but people are weird anywhere, you know? Oh, one time, ew. This sucked. This was one like specific night. So I went to this club like fairly regularly. I never really had any issues. This one particular night, like I was noticing weird looks for the first time in a long time at a club, like ever. And I was like, why all of a sudden are people looking at me weird? And then that same night, I was like standing outside with my friend, and these two guys walked by, and one of them was like,
oh shit, there's kids here, bro.
And I was feeling bold. And I was like, not a kid, bro. Hey, I'm not a kid. And I screamed. It had to have heard me. But he didn't even like turn around. But yeah. Do you ever feel uncomfortable when you're around other people? Yeah, like I said, I still compare myself to people a lot, and I'm working on that. But I definitely do feel a little self-conscious around people most of the time. I'm getting a lot better about it. Are you going to have more surgeries / treatments for your scoliosis? Probably. I'm not saying no, but as of right now, there's nothing like scheduled, you know? Does your form of dwarfism cause you pain? A little bit. I think it's less of the dwarfism and more of the like skeletal dysplasia. You know, my shoulders are uneven. The shoulder's up a little higher. There's like a bump, like this side of my shoulder blade kind of sticks out. So like I always feel like this shoulder is up higher because it is, but in like a tight way. Like I always feel like I have to like go like this or like stretch it around, like around here-ish. Is like most of where the pain comes from. Yeah, it's not like excruciating, but some days are definitely worse than others. My brother has achondroplasia. What's some similarities / differences between you and him? Well, we're probably about the same height, but the biggest differences are like the limbs. I'm kind of the opposite proportion-wise from an achon. If you don't know what I'm talking about, people with achondroplasia are what you think of when you hear the term dwarf or little person. Like most of the women on Little Women LA or Little People Big World. I don't want to generalize, but it's the most common form of dwarfism, I think. Don't like 100% quote me on that, but I'm pretty sure that's true. So yeah, we're basically like, we're the opposite proportion-wise. Like for example, my torso is abnormally short, but my arms and legs are both pretty long. With an achon, it's the opposite. Their torsos are pretty much average size, but their arms and legs are really short. No. Look. Does anyone else in your family have dwarfism? No. I'm pretty sure this has been asked before, but how's the dating life with dwarfism? I mean, it definitely makes it a little bit more difficult because people judge you pretty immediately most of the time because of it. It's also fetishized a lot, which is really fun to deal with. So like, it definitely adds a little extra challenge in like the dating world, but it's really not a huge deal. It more so affects me personally, like confidence-wise. You're probably getting, what's the worst thing, so what's the best thing about it? Thank you for forcing me to bring some positivity into this. I don't know, it's kind of fun sometimes. It definitely like affects my confidence and like gets to me sometimes, but like it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun to just know that like, hey, I'm small, you know? Sometimes we can get away with things, you know, because we're kind of cute and we're fast, you know? I don't know what I'm talking about because I literally have a lung problem. I cannot run for shit. I'm not that fast, but like, I don't know, we kind of zip around. What? I think we're stronger because of it. Like every day we're looked at and judged for looking different. So we kind of are born with more of a thick skin. I also think personally for me, the best thing about it is being able to represent the community. Like not saying I solely represent the community. There's plenty other dwarfs, little people out there that also do a fantastic job of representing the community, probably better than me, to be honest, considering I like hardly talk about it. That's pretty great, is being able to show everyone else that, hey, we're human beings. Hi, Kippy. Oh, another perk too is our stuff is smaller a lot of the time, like shoes and clothes and stuff like that, so it's easier to pack. That's a good one. What's something you wish everyone would know about dwarfism? We still think the same way as everyone else. Like our brains are still exactly the same. We also don't want your pity. We don't want you to feel bad for us. We don't want you to be like, oh, so little and helpless. Like, ooh, so cute. Like, let me help you. Bye. I guarantee you most of us hate that. We don't want to just be your inspiration porn, as I've heard it said before from like a few influencers on Instagram who I love, actually. Makeup Junkie G, who like, I want to be her. Dude, her fashion sense, incredible. And then also like Wheelchair Rapunzel. They're both fantastic. Please go check them out. At least for me anyway. Like I appreciate the, oh, you're so confident, like you're such an inspiration. I appreciate that, but like it can, sometimes depending on the context, sometimes it can come off as a backhanded compliment. Oh, you're so confident for what you look like. You know, like, oh, you're so confident for how unfortunate your circumstances are. Like, that's not to say not to compliment people with dwarfism or disabilities, but just keep that in mind, I guess, is all I'm saying. Have you ever been to a Little People of America Have you ever been to a Little People of America convention? Yes. The first one I went to was in New York City, and I was like 11, and I met the mom from Little People Big World, and that was pretty legendary. I would love to go to another one, now that I'm like an adult. Are clothes cheaper? No. If anything, they'd probably be more expensive if you want to get them like altered and stuff. Is it going to be difficult to give birth to a child because of your condition? Great question. Yes. Like if I were to get pregnant, it would be very bad. It might literally kill me because my torso is so small. So that's a thing. Once I do get to that point in my life, I'm gonna have to figure out what I want to do. Whether I want to try like surrogacy or if I want to just adopt, because we're not sure if it's genetic. That's just something I have to look into. I, of course, would not want to pass it on to my kid. I would not want them to have to go through that. What are some misconceptions about dwarfism? We're not as limited as you might think. We can find our own ways to do pretty much everything that the average person can do. I know this is a silly question, but how often do cops stop your car because they think you're a 12-year-old? That is a silly question because it's literally never happened, and I don't think it ever will. What? Sorry, that question irritates me. Like, no offense to the person that asked that. Love you, I'm sure you're like a supporter or something, but just like, huh? You can't see how tall I am from outside the car, sir. Sorry. Are your fingers proportionate to your hands? Yes. Think so. Yeah, I'm gonna end it there. So yeah, I hope that I answered enough of your questions. If you have any more, feel free to leave them below and I'll try to answer as many the best I can. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe because I upload new videos every Saturday. They're not usually about dwarfism though. Just warning you. Also be sure to follow me on Twitch because I stream on there every Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday nights. And yeah, I will see you all in my next video. Love you, bye!